Yo, what's up? It's your boy L7. That's right. Oh my God, I got a very special guest. I seen him on actually be Big Talk Little Talk show on Fridays. This guy always stood out to me because he had a very definitive look to him, right? He had the big cowboy hat. I always called him the hat. And honestly, this guy said a lot of dope stuff. I always felt like, whenever he said something, I always was nodding my head up and down. I was like, yeah, I could get down with that. So, yeah, I just want to learn. I know you opened up another channel. What's your channel right now?
The Lone Wolf Podcast. I'm working on a second channel, but haven't quite gotten it off the ground just yet.
Okay, so I went back and I like to do a little bit of research on my guys. So I went back and I saw how the evolution, right, of your studio right there. Yeah, I know you have like yeah, you gotta teach me about the sound quality and all that, but I saw the evolution. Yeah. So what is those lights, man? Those lights are kicking, bro. Like those lights really, like you know what I mean? Like I'm like, goddamn, like I need some lights like that. Yeah. What are those things?
Honestly, just some cheap little LED lights that I found on Amazon. Honestly, my background might look a little fancy, but I'm blue collar and working on a budget. I was just able to put something together that looked pretty cool. So.
I thought you had like your. I honestly thought you had your own restaurant. I thought like the dude like owned like a like you know what I mean. Like a lot of restaurants look like that. You know what I mean? I thought the dude's
Yeah,
just a ball and he just like has his own spot. You know what I mean? And just doing it in his restaurant and shit. I was like, all right. You know what I mean? That's cool though. That's cool.
yeah, it's just one of those things. I had to get a little creative. I've got a desk pretty much, right? And I've got two lights mounted on each side of it that just shine straight at the wall. And I've got a row on the top that shine down. And, I can use pretty much any color that I want, but I'm an independent. And, kind of went with the theme of my channel. I'll put blue on the left, the red on the right, and I'm going to sit right here in between the middle of it because that's pretty much where I'm at on a lot of issues. So.
Wow, I didn't even get that, but now I know. Wow, now I see it. That's crazy. I had no idea that was what that was about. I just thought it was just like lighting stuff. You know what I mean? Like theatrical. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
crazy. All right, that's crazy. Hey man, thanks for sharing with me. I just got turned on something I never knew about. Yeah, that's wild, man. All right, cool. So, like, how long has your podcast been running? How long you been running the channel?
I actually got it off the ground late July, 2019. It might have been early August, but I'm thinking it was late July. Um,
Okay.
I had made just a couple of like Facebook videos on my personal profile once upon a time, but politics was something that I followed pretty closely too. And I wound up going through a job change right at that time. It was a very, very stressful job, ate up a lot of my time. Kind of in a lot of ways, I'm kind of back into that boat today. That's why I don't get to record as much. But at the time, I mean, I was working massive amounts of overtime. When I left that job, I said, you know what? I'm just going to see what happens here and start a YouTube channel and actually talk about some of this stuff because why the heck not? It's something that I followed for a long time. It's something that I'm passionate about. Let's just see what happens here.
So, are you a Bernie supporter?
I wouldn't consider myself a Bernie supporter. Do I support what Bernie talked about? Yes. And I was more of a Bernie supporter before 2016 happened the way it did.
Okay, I
Okay.
understand. Okay.
When I heard the things that Bernie was saying, when I heard what Bernie was saying against Hillary Clinton, I liked Bernie, but when I saw how Bernie just, in my opinion, cucked over for Hillary Clinton in 2016, I couldn't get behind that. And to me, I'm kind of an old fashioned guy in the sense if I'm going to respect you, I need to see that you've got some respect for yourself. And my problem was anyone who would have evidence laid out in front of them that this is a party who not only is embodying a lot of the things you were just on this stage complaining about, but furthermore than that, now there's evidence that they rigged this election against you, and you're still going to go out there and campaign for them.
Yeah.
And you're not even a member of the party, by the way. You're not even a Democrat. You're an independent. You've been an independent for all these years,
Yeah.
yet now you're going to go campaign for Democrats this way. That put a real, real sour taste in my mouth for Bernie.
Interesting. Yeah. Cause
I'll say this: I would have still much rather had Bernie Sanders be the nominee this time around than Joe Biden,
mhm.
but he wasn't exactly going to be my go-to this time around.
Interesting. So I like that you have like kind of like a southern take, which is cool, man. So how many other southerners do you feel like also was kind of like because the thing about I've interviewed a lot of people like in this Tulsi game, and almost without question, like almost all of them said I followed Tulsi when she actually stepped away from the Democratic Party to do what she believed in, what was right. That's probably true for you as well.
Yeah, that was my thing. I was looking
Okay.
for an outsider candidate. I found Tulsi Gabbard, and I saw a lot of those same qualities to fight back against the establishment, and that's why I got behind Tulsi Gabbard. And I've been critical of Tulsi. I feel
I
like
know,
when
I
she
know, yeah.
dropped out of the race, she could have handled things a little bit better, in my opinion, than she did.
I saw
But
that
I'll
video, I
give
loved it,
credit
yeah.
where credit is due. At least she didn't completely jump on the bandwagon and just nonstop campaign for Biden, or even worse, when he announced Kamala Harris as his VP pick, come out and praise her after what she said about her on the debate stage. So I give her credit there. As far as people where I'm from, and I'm from South Carolina, being really in tune that way, I don't think so. But understand this: it's not because I think that South Carolinians or Southerners are stupid. I think it's just because they've bought a lot of these Republican talking points. The South is a very red area, okay, especially in South Carolina. You think about it. South Carolina is so red that it was almost immediately called for Donald Trump shortly after the polls closed last night.
Right.
Furthermore than that, we had, Jamie Harrison, who was being funded millions of dollars to try to make a run against Lindsey Graham. And many people said that Jamie Harrison had a good shot. Well, Lindsey Graham kind of walked away with it last night. So that tells you a lot about South Carolina. We're a very red state in that regard, and possibly even got even redder last night. Not something not many people have talked about because this is more at a state level.
Right.
There's a guy, Glenn Reese, who was a state senator. He's a Democrat. He's been winning re-election since somewhere in the 70s. He lost to a Republican finally. So the South Carolina could have even went even more red, arguably, last night. But the thing is, when I sit down and talk to a lot of people that are Republicans, Trump supporters, Trump voters, here's the thing. We find a lot of common ground. They agree with me on a lot of things. And that, in a lot of ways, is a big reason why Trump resignated. A lot of people like to jump to the low-hanging fruit and say racism. You got to look beyond that. Fact is, there's a lot of people in this area of the country that felt forgotten, felt left behind. They watched manufacturing jobs walk off and leave. They watched their way of life leave. They
Can I,
watched their
can I say something
businesses
to that?
close.
Can I say something to that? Now, honestly,
Yeah,
whenever you talk like this, Charles, I'm so much in agreement with you, and I think that you're talking about something that a lot. Honestly, I feel like the average American feels this way. I've talked with so many people who feel the exact same way. It's just not what they talk about on the news. How can we form
absolutely.
a coalition to get like this very simple idea through, which they keep refusing to talk about? They keep trying to turn to something else, which is ridiculous. Right, left, whatever. Honestly, like when I hang out with my Republican buddies, I'm cool with them. We have no problem. It's really cool. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? And some Democrats too. It can be cool too, but some of them can be messed up too on both sides. I really, I'm not here to say, but most of them are cool and think exactly the way you do. I agree with you
Right.
100%. Yeah.
And here's the thing. The reason that so many people in the South are truly Republicans and consider themselves Republicans is because they have a loathing or a fear of the Democratic Party,
Which they
because
deserve
they
because yeah,
they
because
they
yeah,
look at the Democrat Party as either the party who sold them out. Because remember, once upon a time, the
that's
South was
true.
Democrats,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Arguably, that wasn't the best type of Democrat, but even still, those were Democrats who had protectionist ideas that kept the jobs. Well, the Democrat Party eventually sold them out. And the only people making that pitch to this area of the country now are the Republican Party. So that's a big reason. They either have a spite at the Democrat Party because they felt that they turned on them, or they have a fear with all the rhetoric you get from the Fox News crowd all the time, because that's
Yeah.
typically who they get news from. In a lot of cases, they watch Fox News, and the Fox News will pretty much convince you that, if you're voting Democrat, you're going to vote for communism, socialism, a ban on guns, and will turn into a third world country,
Yeah.
with
And it
no
went yeah,
law and order.
and
And,
it went
and
so
they're
far.
fearful of that.
They went so far they called like people who called who supported Trump deplorables. And then they really drew this
Yeah.
hard line in the sand that made it like so insulting that there really was no way back. Like it was they really made it that way. That's not cool. You know what I mean? Hillary Clinton went way too far. They're not
Right.
deplorables. They're our fellow Americans. Like, what the freak? You know, like, come on. You know, yeah. I went to high school with a lot of
Yeah,
people.
I
Yeah,
mean, and that's the thing is that the Democrat Party has embarked down this idea of the cultural war that because they run on no substance. They don't run on fixing trade. For God's sakes, they were pushing more free trade up until a couple of years ago. That was Biden, Clinton, the whole nine yards. Well, that's what ruined a lot of middle class America was all the free trade, right? So they run on these cultural issues. They stoke the race card and they keep racial division nice and hot. And they sit there and they get the woke crowd all riled up and say that white privilege this, white privilege that. And, look, we can have that argument. I'm not going to say there's not areas where white people are more privileged. But the fact of the matter is, to a white person, you can say that this is not justified, whatever. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. The problem is, white people still have problems of their own.
yeah.
It's not like just because they had slightly more privilege, they didn't have to experience losing a home during the mortgage crisis when Obama put plenty of people out of their homes. It ain't like
Yeah.
that affected only black and brown people.
And let me tell you
So they
another
have
thing.
these
Yeah.
issues too, and you're basically telling them, no, whatever, your problem doesn't matter because you're white.
A lot of minorities too, I'm going to tell you straight up, understand that what white people are going through is also bullshit. You know what I mean? Because we know that because our own problems are only reflected in a certain way in the media, so we can
Right.
recognize it happening to other people very easily. That's why there's so much like honestly, there's a lot of people who say the racism of the Democrats is worse than the Republicans. It really is. It's this fake. All the bad stuff is often happens worse under their time. But enough of that, man. How can we build like between like us? Here's one idea I'm trying to promote in my local area. Yeah, you know how there's blackouts of like those football games if they don't fill the stadium? Let's have a
Yeah.
blackout of the debates, right? If they don't agree to have equal speaking time for the candidates. What do you think, man? Maybe we could get those things installed locally.
Possibly. To me, building the coalition is going to have to take some, in all honesty, some discipline on the part of us, the people. Okay. One thing that I've found about a lot of the people who say they're tired of Democrats and Republicans, and I think Jesse Ventura actually summed this up fairly well. Trying to get the independents to come together is like trying to herd cats.
I can
You
actually,
know,
yeah, I have a proposed
yeah,
solution for that.
the issue is that on the libertarian side of things, the libertarian believes that we're spending too much money. We need to cut, and rebalance and balance the budget and cut all these, social programs and whatever. Okay. That's the libertarian side of things is we need to rein in all the spending. Whereas the Green Party saying, look, the climate is a huge issue. We possibly need to spend a lot more to save our climate. And so right there, boom, you got massive conflict. What neither party seems to be willing to realize while they bicker amongst themselves, and even, MPP pretty much invited a lot of lefties out, didn't really get too many right-leaning voices into the room. That being said, while they bicker amongst themselves, they're ignoring the fact that, look, as long as we stay divided, there's too many Democrats and Republicans out there. While you fight amongst yourselves and fail to unite,
Yeah.
you're going to keep giving elections over to them.
So,
And so,
yeah.
first of all, independents and people who really want Democrats and Republicans out have to learn we need to take the power away first, and then we can haggle about these issues later. Otherwise, guess what? Your issues will never be addressed because you're going to keep getting Democrats and Republicans. The next thing is in this coalition, we need to focus more on local elections. Too many people truly believe that the president is where this whole thing can be, fixed. And it's not. It's just simply not, and I don't know what your opinion on this is, Ed, but mine has always been you don't build structures usually from the top down, you build them from the ground up.
That's exactly what.
And, and hypothetically speaking, even if you got someone to be president of the United States, let's say that Joe Jorgensen or Howie Hawkins had done significantly better and actually won this election. We'll just say that happened. The
Okay.
problem is, guess what? We're on track to have either a Senate or a Senate that's Democrat, Republican, and a House that's going to stay Democrat. So with that being said, they're going to work together to make sure that Howie or Joe Jorgensen would be a one-term president because they want to take the power back, and they would gridlock that president to no end.
Okay.
And that's exactly what's going to happen. So you've got to take the power away from the Senate and the House and chip away at their power structure.
Okay. So actually, one thing that you know Richard Idris, right?
Yeah.
I think he's very brilliant. I like him a lot. Yeah. He's a young cat, but a very smart mind. And he sees one thing that happens to a lot of leaders, and I understand it myself because I've been in leadership myself. I've been on the bottom, I've been on the top. I don't know if you ever owned a company, stuff like that, had employees. I have had that experience as well. The thing is that, right, not just that, but also like, run like large organization. So the thing is that what happens is that when you become at the top, you actually get enclosed in this bubble. People have like your time is worth more, right? Because they can make something happen, like a contract go their way, whatever. So they're always vying for your attention, and you no longer get to really talk to the people who are working the ground. The people who work the ground, when they see you, because there's such a power differential, they try to make you happy, and they don't show you everything that's really going on. So you don't see certain critical factors like, oh, like this particular slacking off here or this production, right? Everything's always presented to you in a rosy terms, and they get shut off
Yeah.
and they lose track. So what happened is, what I've been talking with another group of I don't know if you ever watched my channel with Lisa or Owen or Jim Ragusky, other leaders in the Tulsi movement. And the thing is that one idea that they said was we should move away from personality politics towards maybe like a general assembly type deal, right? Because what happens is the reason why the left is hard to assemble together is because the leadership, right, they don't want to lose their personal privilege within that organization. They get to call certain shots, they get to have things their way, and some of that is justified because when they run the shots, right, they can make certain things happen easier by not having to justify it every step, right? But in the end, we need to have a coalition of the people, and we cannot let these so-called leaders that are destroying the movement get in the way. This is where I think the Tulsi movement, people like yourself, like myself, right, that put actually service above self, right? Not just Tulsi, not Tulsi yourself, right? Whatever your issues are, I get it. I agree with you 100%. Look, Tulsi's never talked to me. You know what I mean? That's fine. Yeah, I'm going to do this outside
Right.
of her. I was thinking this way before I even met Tulsi. But the thing is that, right? I would love Tulsi to get on board, though. Please holla at us. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So the thing is that we can build the coalition because we have to give up the titles. We have to say we do not want any extra privilege. We are not going to be named as leaders. We just have to be looked because we're the smallest group, right? We're the least threatening to all the other groups. You get what I mean? That way we can be
Right.
maybe the glue that holds the coalition together. You know what I mean? The weakest group should have the ability to, to be trusted by the other groups because we can just be taken out at any moment. We have to lead by example, and I believe that we have the highest level of values as in terms of like sacrificing nothing to like make sure that we do the right thing, like standing up for Assange, stuff like that. Everybody has to respect our integrity. You get what I mean? So I'm hoping that we can be new leaders of, and we'll reach out to the different groups. MPPs having their bylaws. I think that's a great time for all the groups to come together at the bylaws convention and say, let's really make it a people's party, a coalition of all the different groups around the nation. I think that happens in June of next year. If not, we'll try again. You know what I mean? But I think that's a great opportunity.
I agree, and my thing with the People's Party is, and I wish it complete luck and working out. It's a great concept. The only problem is that how well is it going to be implemented by 2024 and get on all the ballots has been my biggest issue. The problem to me is, we've seen what happens when you try to hijack the Democrat Party, and it didn't really work too well, right?
Mm-hmm.
To me, there's already a few third parties that have been around for quite some time. You know what I mean? You've got the Green Party that's still out there. You've got the Libertarian Party that's still out there, and the Libertarian Party's been working for quite a few years, and they actually have succeeded in getting ballot access in all 50 states,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
And there's different factions within the Libertarian Party. And so, for example, for people who don't believe that we shouldn't have any entitlements in the Libertarian Party. That's one wing.
I think I
There's
understand your
also
question.
people like
Can I?
myself who
Yeah.
want that mixed economy, who think, yeah, capitalism is great, but it's got to have certain checks and balances to make sure that it doesn't become crony capitalism.
I think I understand
Yeah.
what you're getting at. Yeah, but let me just maybe answer the question, right? Okay. So the thing is that all the factions have to say, you know what, there's something in it for me. So this is what they get access to. The thing is that MPP has been collecting about 8 Gs a month. That's not a lot, right? It's not nothing either. Yeah. They've been collecting
Right.
it. Also, they have a large right, amount of people who have said that they're interested in who are members of MPP for whatever that means. There's a membership list. Every group wants to have access to that membership list so they can promote their own organization. You get what I mean? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, yeah. Also, when these groups come together, we can agree to share our mailing lists to a certain extent. We can also network our leadership to get certain things done. Like, you know what? Oh, like inside of this state, we've been trying to get this done. We had the possibility for 10,000 signatures within our group, but oh my goodness, we can get 10,000 for your group too. We can all vote this way. Oh my goodness, you're from the next neighboring town. Let's set up a region, right? Like people can build their own townships, right? Yeah, with their own like laws and stuff. There's all kinds of possibilities that we could talk about there and just like pop it off and make things happen. To tell you the truth, will it be read by 2024? That was a good question. Honestly, when you have a very large group like this, it's a lot of times it's hard to get that 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 cohesiveness. So we need to say, right, everybody, we're pulling them because they can get membership, they can get access to money too. As a large coalition, we can probably, as a fundraiser, say, you know what, you can give money to us as a whole. Maybe you feel better about that, right? Yeah. Than just giving to this one little group. Yeah. And then we say from there, right, if you show up, you get to get a portion of that money that we receive. Do you want to not show up and not have a seat at the table? All you got to do is show up. But if we can get a critical number of people to outnumber the people of MPP leadership, right, who want to control the table, then we automatically win. You know what I mean? So really, it's a battle of the small. We have to attract even small little local, like a little like Boys and Girls Club, you know what I mean, or a local United Way, right? A little an NGO like right in the corner. We'll invite them to that meeting and try to just swarm with every single organization we can and say every organization there gets access to the membership and future money revenue that comes into that organization access.
Yeah, I mean, I see where you're going with it, but again, from my standpoint, is you start to rally the people. You're going to have the uphill battle in the messaging aspect and getting the message out there, and we know that simply because people like myself and maybe you, but others were definitely getting censored.
The message is only
we're
this.
getting,
The message is
we're
only
getting
this.
throttled down by Twitter. We're getting throttled down by YouTube.
Yeah.
And so they're going to really hurt the messaging part to get the messaging out there. The next problem with adding another third party is that the third parties that already exist, even the one that's got ballot access in 50 states, is having a hard enough time really pulling those votes from Democrats and Republicans. And arguably they did even worse this time than they did last time.
There's nothing to say that once that party came in, right, that they wouldn't all technically say, let's join the Libertarian Party and swell their ranks with us as a coalition and use what that member of the group has for our benefits. You get what I mean? There's nothing off the table.
Right. I think what you're saying is that MPP would actually basically get behind the Libertarian Party. And if that's the way they want to do things, to me, that's great. A big part of what I've gathered that MPP is trying to do is more or less get their own party moving.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, if MPP just wants to kind of be like a caucus of the Libertarian Party, I mean, I have no problem with them doing that at all. But to me, it's a massive uphill battle, and I guess in a way a fool's errand to try to start a brand new third party and then expect to get ballot access in 50 states and make a serious run, And here's where it's even going to be again. If they do this, and let's just hypothetically say, I'll play our buddy Israel here and be the devil's advocate. Let's say they land ballot access in 50 states, which I just don't see happening, but we'll say they do. Okay. You're going to not only have a ground game that's going to run candidates for the president, but Senate and the House too. And you're going to accomplish all of this within a 4-year period. And yet third parties, for example, like the Libertarian Party, even though they got that ballot access, they didn't actually have a candidate running for Senate right here where I'm from. So that's a massive task MPP is trying to say they're going to accomplish in 4 years, something I haven't seen the other third parties do. So, that's the thing is I would much rather support what you're saying and that MPP actually be a group of people, who are embracing ideas and trying to get people to vote for the Libertarian Party or the Green Party. Personally, I would say pick the Libertarian Party because they already have kind of a diverse group of ideas. You know what I mean? And that would be my way to go. That's why I voted for Joe Jorgensen in this election cycle.
I encourage that actually I encourage that as a simultaneous plan. I like to do a lot of moves at the same time. So honestly, I would actually join MPP, and I mean, really, honestly, you can join or not join, right? Honestly, not getting a lot done, but just join them, right? Like for that bylaws convention. But yeah, join the Libertarian Party, and honestly, join his. I work with a lot of groups because I'm learning how they operate. I'm learning how their infrastructure is run. I know who's in charge. I know like what their motivation is. I know how hard they can work and what they're capable of. I mean, I'm in all the organizations that I get emails from Trump and from Biden. Yeah. So I really know what's up. Yeah, I really know what's up. You know what I mean? It's cool.
So I'm the same way. I donated to a Republican a couple of years ago.
Right.
And I donated, of course, to Tulsi Gabbard for the primaries, and because they got my emails, I'm like you. I get emails from Trump, Biden, Pence, Kamala, Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, all these people, and it is just it's ridiculous.
Yeah, man. Yo, yeah, that's hilarious. Yo, I saw you also started a new channel. Now that this political thing might wind down, are there other like races going on in the area soon?
You talking about like political races?
Yeah, for us, we have like the mayoral races and city council races in New York coming up. Actually, because of the term limits, right? Actually, a majority of the seats will flip. So actually, policy is actually subject to real change within the next 3 years in New York City. Like there could be some real stuff going on.
Yeah, we don't really have much. I mean, we just had our sheriff and everything. I mean, it pretty much our elections are mostly just done on regular election day. Okay. We don't have any special stuff coming up at the moment. I know Georgia's going to have the runoff coming up because of what happened in their election. It's too close to determine, so they're going to have the runoff. But yeah, so what can I say? The Democrats haven't done very well in South Carolina. The closest thing I could say that we have to Democrat town near me would be Greenville. They've got a Democrat sheriff. I believe when I looked at the map, they actually kind of went blue, and that's very close to me actually.
Yeah.
But Spartanburg County, where I'm at, we went red. So.
Yeah, I mean, Democrats had that prison industrial complex. I mean, you have any prisons around like your area?
Oh God, yeah. I've got the state prisons, of course, that are right through here. I've actually got one right up the road from me. Yeah. The South Carolina Department of Corrections. So yeah,
wild, man.
There's plenty of those around. But.
So I know you opened up a new channel, man. What's going on? You're gonna have some other content besides political stuff. What's the other stuff gonna be about?
Yeah, I'm looking at getting into it. I kind of started dabbling into some things besides just political opinion on the channel, the Lone Wolf Podcast. I had a little series going where, I was kind of doing an imitation of Joe Biden a little bit there, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at actually trying to, broaden out and maybe do reviews on different things or just talk about, day-to-day life, what it's like living in the South. My biggest issue is it's something I'm going to have to kind of sit down, think on, plan out, and then record. And my biggest problem is I've had some job stuff going on recently where I moved locations, and I'm trying to get a new location up and running and off the ground. And doing all that brainstorming and still maintaining this channel and trying to record a couple of times a week doesn't leave me a whole lot of extra time, and still maintain some personal life, with the wife and everything. So, but, as soon as I get the time, I'm going to try to branch out into that, just more like a blue collar channel. So
cool, man. All right, what kind of blue collar? You know what I mean? You do like electrician work or carpentry
So
stuff?
I'm not an electrician, but yes, I have learned. I guess you could say I'm a jack of all trades and a master of none in a lot of ways. So when me
That's
and my
awesome.
wife bought our house, we did some renovation work to it,
You
right?
did great with the
Uh,
studio, man. It looks real good, man. I love the fighters on the wall. You know what I mean? Yo, hold up a
but
second. Yeah, I see like there's one right above your head. What is that right there? What's that one right above your head?
this
Yeah, what is that?
that's the Undertaker.
Oh, the Undertaker. Oh, you gotta that
That
bell. You gotta ring that
that's the
bell.
one thing that's
Yeah,
the picture on this wall that's
yeah.
not political at all, except for Ali and Bruce Lee right here. You
Okay.
know, but yeah, Undertaker. So full disclosure, I watch WWE still. Don't watch it like I did when I was a kid, but Undertaker was the man.
All
Okay,
right.
he was my all time favorite. So you know, I had to put his picture up there too.
You gotta use that
But
sound effect.
yeah, in all honesty, though, you know, as far as like what you talked about with the blue collar stuff, when we moved in, I wound up changing every light fixture in the house out. Did some, you know, electrical stuff in that regard. I had a real fun experience during one of them where I thought I'd cut a breaker off for that room because the ceiling fan cut off. So the closet light was right next to it. I was like, okay, power's off. You know, the light didn't work, so I had no way to check to see if there was power to it unless I had a multimeter, which I didn't have at the time. I had the nice, fun experience of getting 110 shocked, and that wasn't very fun, let me tell you. So, you know, but aside from that, you know, I do things like that, you know, now and then. The biggest thing I would say I do more regularly, though, is I piddle with cars, I guess you could say. I bought a 1990 F-150, and I started learning how to work on cars, just tinkering with that thing. You know, changed water pump, changed different parts on the car, EGR valve. You know,
I
change
gotta
a
learn that
throttle
stuff.
position sensor out, took the throttle body off, had to clean all that. So I've done a lot of different things on there. And then I actually got a car my mom bought years ago, and she gave it to me because she wasn't driving the thing anymore. It was a 99 Firebird. So I've been doing a lot of work to that, kind of fixing that car up. And that's kind of my baby I like to take out at least about once a week
You know,
just
I
because
think
it's
yeah,
fun to drive.
I think I have a video on another one of my channels about like hacking the Prius, and it's like over 20K views. So like if you have like you know car like fix up like videos, I think those will be fantastic. You know what I mean? I think those will do
Oh
really
yeah, I
well.
mean
Yeah.
that's not something that YouTube's gonna censor down. You know,
Yeah.
maybe that's where I'm messing up is I'm not branching out into that world soon enough. I might actually could make some money finally.
I'm too passionate about this dumb stuff that makes me no money, you know what I mean? But really, that makes us special, you know what I mean? We are willing to
Yeah,
do what others are not, and that's where the champions go. So thank you for being a warrior, you know what I mean? I love the Power Anthem Network is one of the few like real Tulsi communities that came out of her campaign that's really doing stuff. There's not a lot, you know. There's a lot of quietness, and we need more of us. Yeah.
yeah. Full disclosure, I'm still hoping maybe one of these days we can actually get David Spurrier to do some Power Anthem Network stuff. But yeah, you know,
We'll see.
he's holding down the Tulsiology at the moment. So
I gotta see it again. Spurrier, I don't. Oh, it's Spurrier. Oh, I know who he is. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. He was off Tulsi for a moment. Yeah, that's cool though. Yeah, I mean, but he's a good
Yeah,
guy, I guess. Yeah.
he kind of he went down the rabbit hole that I went down, and look, a lot of people thought that I just despised the ground Tulsi Gabbard walked on.
Right.
I
Right.
didn't.
Right. Right.
I didn't. Look, I put it like this: the question people ask me, I guess, as a litmus test is if Tulsi ran again as a Democrat in
Yeah.
2024, would I vote for her? And the answer was no,
I can see
because
that.
I'm
That's fair.
done with voting for Democrats and
That's fair.
Republicans,
That's fair.
period.
That's fair.
They're the problem,
Yep.
and I don't want to vote for them.
Yeah.
I want to vote for an alternative. I don't want to vote for continuing to try to elect a party that's been the problem this entire time.
I like the
And
libertarian
I
angle.
think
Yeah.
we've seen well enough at this point that the attempt to overtake the party doesn't seem to be working. The Democrats have too many barriers in place to stop that from actually happening. Bernie was by far the best chance at it, and he got, screwed the first time. In my opinion, I feel like there was probably some shady things that we still don't know about in this election cycle. I think they were a little more careful to cover their tracks. And the reason I say that is because we already saw a little bit of evidence with like the coin tosses in Iowa, right? So who knows what went on this time behind the scenes? But nonetheless, we've seen it tried twice, not just didn't work. So my whole thing with Tulsi, just to, and I've said this before, but to clear the record there with your audience, is Tulsi, when she dropped out, they thought I was pissed that she kept her word and honored a pledge. It's not that she honored the pledge. It was just the extra language that praised Joe Biden, which to me was unnecessary. I could come out and say, I'm going to support Joe Biden, or come out and even better yet, say I'll support the eventual nominee.
Not just unnecessary, but deceptive, right?
Do what now?
Not just unnecessary, but deceptive. Yeah.
Right.
He had the Aloha spirit when she's really like had a crime bill where millions suffered. It's a little too far. So that's like when I was listening to that, I was like, yeah, I got it. That's true. I can't argue. And you know what? Honestly, no one's perfect.
No.
And we really benefit, and friends tell you the truth. That's what that's really right. You know what I mean? And we can move forward from that. We're not saying that she's the devil. You know what I mean? But if you're the type of person who says that you can't say anything bad about a person, whoa. Think about where you're going there with that. You know what I mean? Think about what you're doing right there, okay?
And to me,
she's not your
leader.
When
you're saying that one person, because look, I held Bernie's feet to the fire a lot too.
Yeah.
And a lot of those people who got pissed when I said something about Tulsi cheered me on when it was Bernie.
Yeah.
But then when I started kind of saying that about Tulsi, saying, look, how can you say Joe Biden led with the spirit of aloha, right? Or would, and he could heal our divides when he's a, extremely divisive figure at this point. And not only that, but now he's bringing in super cop Kamala Harris. Really, he's going to bring blue collar white America back together with blue collar black or brown America. He's going to do that? I don't think so. And that's not to say Trump would have either.
Yeah.
Tulsi, in my opinion, would have done a great job.
Did anybody give you a hard time on that? No, nobody gave you a hard time on that, did they?
Oh, hell yeah.
They did? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, hell yeah. When I said that my problem is in the language that she used, not that she honored her word and first the argument was
it's over for me, man. I don't even
endorse.
Yeah.
She just said she offered her support, but she did not endorse. And then it took her having to go on Jimmy Dore and saying there's no difference in the two. And then finally, when I said, okay, what do you say now? She's basically said there's no difference. So again, my problem is in the language. And then they said, oh, well, what else did you expect her to do? You have to give a candidate flattering language. I'm like, no, you don't. You can just come out and say you endorsed them. You don't have to kiss their butt. But again,
that's fair. That's fair.
I don't want to rehash the whole issue. But the problem is when you say that you can't criticize her.
Yeah.
Now, guess who you're giving credit to? The people who tried to say all along it was a Tulsi cult. When they used that slur and they threw that language out there, that you're all in the Tulsi cult.
Well,
David Pacmans of the world and all those guys. When they said that, and now you're telling me that we can't, be critical of her. Remember, it was Thomas Jefferson who said dissension is the greatest form of patriotism. When you're saying that I can't criticize, but you were perfectly fine with me criticizing her counterparts who are outsiders. Now it sounds like you're just going to follow leader no matter what.
And I'm going to tell you guys,
that to me then gives credit to their original argument, and I don't think that helps Tulsi's cause.
Yeah. And just to the people out there, I'm really not crazy about hanging on the subject, but I just want to say this last thing. I mean, if you want to respond to it, that's fine. But the thing is that really, right, the people surrounding Tulsi, they think they're helping her, yeah? But the thing, like I said before, and what Richard Idris, I love that guy, yeah? And I've been a leader before. What happens is that when you're a leader, you get surrounded by people who want things for you, often because they can get something out of themselves, or they're fulfilling something out their personality-wise, they tell themselves something, but they have something to gain. They have their own interest, and they surround the person and shut them off to people like yourself. They try to close people like yourself off. That prevents someone like Tulsi from being able to get a true read on what's actually going on the ground. she doesn't get to see reality. She's surrounded by people that are trying to control what she sees for their own interest. Anybody in power has to suffer from this. There's nothing they can do about it. You know what I mean? That's why, as Tulsi,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why we who do stuff right, not necessarily for the money or the fame, right? Yeah, us little guys on the ground. It's really a coalition of us little guys that is really the true leader of the future, not this whole like there's going to be a save, because unfortunately, as much as no matter who you are, you can't escape that. You get what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. You can tie what you just said into what you were talking about with building the coalitions. This is where people are going to have to come to an understanding. We're in this thing to try to take our country back and actually have a government that represents the hardworking people of this country. And all this bickering back and forth and saying you can't hold this person's feet to the fire, or let's squabble about these issues. You're doing, as we so eloquently say in the South, you're cutting your nose off to spite your face.
I love it. Hell yeah, man. Yo, I love. Yeah. What up, man? Yo, honestly, do you? So, of course, I'm gonna share the link with you. Is there any way that people could follow you? Know you got a Twitter. Do you do the Instagram thing? What are the social media people? And what's the? I'll share both channels, of course. What's the name of the new channel?
The new channel is just Blue Collar Review. I don't have but like one little introduction video up on it now, so it's not really doing very much.
Okay.
But the channel that I'm uploading on right now, the Lone Wolf Podcast, and you can find me over on Twitter at Vigilant into P1. Now, if you branch out from YouTube and you want to look into something like Odyssey, which Nico House recommended for me, and I'm going to start uploading the content over to Odyssey as well and giving that a shot, since YouTube's full of the censorship at this point. It's the same thing over on Odyssey. It's the Lone Wolf Podcast.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, that's real smart, man. I'm also on BitChute and Daily Motion. Honestly, people like us, we're endangered species, man. You gotta follow us, because they trying to throw us in the tall grass. They're trying to make us disappear. You know what I mean? So
That's
thanks.
it.
Yeah, that's why I'm so happy to promote channels like this, man. God bless, and I can't wait to see you. I'll probably see you on one of these Fridays real soon, or maybe I'll even come on your channel. We'll see what's up, man. All right, yo.
Yeah, we'll get back together sometime for sure.
God bless, Charles. You the man. God
All
bless,
right,
my man.
take care, man.
See you on the next one. Peace.
It's a dark day in our nation when high-level authorities will seek to use every method to silence dissent. The truth must be told.
And if you want the truth, you need to check out independent media producers just like myself, DJ L7. You should subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notifications when I release a new video.
The truth of these
We
words
are on all
is
the major
beyond doubt.
platforms. That includes Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube. Unfortunately, we have definitely seen that these mainstream outlets will cave to corporate interests, so we encourage you to join our independently moderated communities of Reddit and Discord. We also encourage you to subscribe to us on BitChute and Daily Motion so you can see the content that YouTube doesn't want us to let you see. Hey, now it's time for the most important part of the video. That's right. It's time for us to tell you about the Taking Action Group. Do you need an activist? Or maybe there's no activists around willing to help you with your cause and you need to learn to become an activist. That's exactly why we're here. Every week we get up with people from across the nation, in fact even sometimes internationally, and we develop strategies and a game plan to address the issues that are affecting all of us. Every week myself from New York City and of course my co-host Lisa from Los Angeles provide a coast-to-coast perspective on what's going on in the country. If you want to donate to help out with expenses, travel, equipment, stuff like that, then I definitely appreciate it, and you can hit us off at Venmo or PayPal. Thanks a lot. Hey, by the way, we also have a merch store, so check it out. Oh my goodness, it seems like you've reached the end of the video, so make sure you check out some of our other videos, make sure you subscribe. This is your last chance to do so thanks a lot, and looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please comment below if you have any questions or issues you'd like me to address. And if you're an activist, the time to make things happen is now.